This is Timmy and Kevin. The 11-year-olds are tossing a football casually on a hot Saturday afternoon in their suburban town in Minnesota. Timmy, out of the blue, begins criticizing net neutrality.
You know, Kevin, I've been thinking about this a lot. Fuck net neutrality. Huh? At least that's what my mom says. She says that the government is too involved in private affairs. From spying on citizens' lives to micromanaging broadband companies, we could use less government interference in our lives. No, Timmy, you asswipe. Without the government controlling everything, we are screwed. No, no. That's so off base, you lily liberal. Your parents don't even know what they're talking about. Hey, don't talk shit about my parents, you moron conservative.
Timmy, Kevin, I've heard enough of this bullshit. Both of you are so wildly incorrect from different sides of the spectrum. It's time to educate you on what net neutrality actually means without involving your parents' petty political differences. Okay, kids. So essentially, net neutrality, at its most basic level, is the idea that internet service providers like Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, and Xfinity should treat all data packets flowing through their cell towers and cables equally. You might be wondering, what is a data packet? How does that affect my streaming of Stranger Things on Netflix or watching cat videos on YouTube? Well, a data packet is more than just the raw data being sent. It also contains a header of routing information, the type of service, and a sequence number for reassembly after transmission. The raw data itself is often referred to as the payload. This essentially means that a data packet not only holds the cool content you're eager to see, but also information on how to get it to your computer and how to display it once the information is received. Furthermore, it is impossible for internet service providers to create express lanes for certain data packets. ISPs can't make certain internet services faster than others because they only have one path to take. This means that instead of creating a multiple lane highway just to travel on a faster route, it essentially makes cars that are all going on a one lane highway slower if they don't pay enough. This method of prioritization creates a problem of other internet-based companies whose packets would be dropped in favor of the ones given this prioritization. One misconception is that express lanes are actually possible, so consumers would simply be paying for a faster service. However, this is just incorrect. Customers would be actually paying to have their current systems not slowed down. With this in mind, these non-existent express lanes are not a valid justification for the repeal of net neutrality. Interesting enough, net neutrality has been a point of debate since the 1990s. Much of this conflict stems from the way the Federal Communications Commission defines internet services. An ISP can either fall under two categories: information services, which is unrestricted, or common carrier services, which is regulated. Through 2017, the FCC ruled favorably of net neutrality, but this changed with the appointment of Ajit Pai as its chairman. Ajit Pai made it his mission to restore internet freedom. In reality, however, nothing is truly free without government regulation. The notion that we live in a free capitalist society is just wrong. There's a system of checks and balances enforced by the government to promote a fair and balanced market. Why shouldn't the same apply to the internet? The actions of ISPs under the repeal of net neutrality have acted in a way that produces unequal standards for the general consumer and gives ISPs an unfair amount of power and control over the internet highway of sorts that all data must travel through. For example, let's say there are 3 gas stations in the same neighborhood. In a truly free market, these separate gas stations would be able to communicate with each other and simultaneously raise prices. To protect the consumer, however, the government strictly forbids this. Instead, the gas stations have to compete with each other for the lowest price in order to attract consumers. In the case of the internet, different internet service providers essentially can control the flow of traffic of business on the internet by creating pseudo-express lanes for some and at the same time dropping packets for others. A specific example of why net neutrality is important is about the Santa Monica fires this past year. While firefighters were bravely fighting these fires, Verizon started dropping some of the Santa Monica Fire Department's internet packets. This was slowing communication greatly and risking people's lives and properties. The fire department confronted Verizon, only to be met with an offer to pay much more for the same internet speed they had before. See, kids, now that the net is no longer neutral, large broadband companies are left unchecked and in a lot of cases are able to extort their customers. They aren't simply adding premium services for those willing to pay. They are purposefully limiting the services of those who are not. Now you tell me, doesn't that sound fucked up? This money-grubbing asshole, Ajit Pai, who's probably been paid off by large ISP lobbyists, comes around and starts restructuring the way people view net neutrality by spewing incorrect viewpoints of what it really is, causing this whole mess to erupt. Meanwhile, companies like Verizon are ready to upcharge your streaming in a heartbeat, while you're still trying to figure out what the fuck the argument was in the first place. Thanks, Ajit, you ignorant fuck. Let's try to learn and discuss the truth about net neutrality before we make decisions with large consequences around it. Anyways, I hope you kids have taken away a few things about net neutrality and can go off teaching people the truth behind the common myths around it.
Ugh, why is my game lagging so much? I'm literally shooting them. It says I have full bars too. Remember what the strange man told us. We are being throttled. Our packets are being dropped in favor of those kids playing in Woodland Hills. And it's all because net neutrality was repealed. God damn it, Ajit Pai.